Dueling might seem barbaric today, but it actually reveals a culture obsessed with etiquette. In the past, duels served several purposes. They settled disputes, encouraged civility, and provided a structured way to channel aggression. Unlike modern times, careless words could have deadly consequences. The origins of dueling in the West can be traced back to pre-Christian practices such as the Norse holmgang, a Viking-era duel. The holmgang was a legal means of settling disputes, whether related to honor, legal disagreements, or revenge. It was open to individuals of all social statuses, with any offended party having the right to issue a challenge. The duel would typically take place a few days later, often on a small island, which is where the name holmgang originates. If the challenged party failed to appear, the challenger's cause was considered just. However, if the challenger failed to show, they were deemed dishonorable and socially stigmatized. This demonstrates how deeply honor and a willingness to fight were intertwined in early societies. By the 11th and 12th centuries, judicial duels carried this tradition into medieval society. Knights and squires would engage in these duels to resolve various disputes, often in the form of feats of arms. Formalized battles supervised by a judge. Weapons were standardized and typically included swords, polearms, axes, or daggers. Battles usually ended when one party yielded or could no longer continue fighting. Some historians argue that judicial duels may have actually reduced crime by providing a legal and controlled outlet for disputes, preventing revenge crimes and collateral damage. A less formal type of duel, known as the chivalric pas d'armes, or passage of arms, gained popularity during the Middle Ages. Knights would stake out key locations such as bridges or city gates and challenge passing knights to combat. Declining a challenge often led to disgrace, reinforcing the notion that a knight's honor was tied to his readiness for battle. If an unaccompanied lady passed by, she could leave behind a token, such as a glove or scarf, to be retrieved by a future knight who accepted the challenge. One famous pas d'armes involved a Spanish knight and his comrades who defended a bridge over the Orbigo River in Spain, swearing to break 300 lances. They managed 166 battles before injuries forced them to cease. Despite their popularity, duels faced criticism from religious authorities. The Catholic Church condemned both judicial and honor duels. Canon 18 of the Fourth Lateran Council in 1215 reaffirmed this stance, stating that dueling was incompatible with church teachings. Nevertheless, dueling persisted, particularly within the aristocracy. Efforts to outlaw dueling were largely ineffective for centuries. In 1626, Louis XIII of France officially banned dueling, followed by further suppression attempts by Louis XIV. However, dueling remained common, especially among the nobility. Between 1685 and 1716, it is estimated that around 10,000 duels took place in France, resulting in approximately 400 deaths. As firearms became more accessible in the early modern period, pistols replaced swords as the weapon of choice. Pistols offered a more level playing field, as they required less skill to wield. Interestingly, the use of firearms made duels less lethal. Studies suggest that while 20% of participants in sword duels died, only 6.5% perished in pistol duels, with many participants remaining unharmed. The late 18th and early 19th centuries marked the height of dueling culture, especially in the United States. Many prominent figures, including founding father Alexander Hamilton, were involved in duels. During this period, duels became highly ritualized with detailed codes of conduct, such as the Irish Code Duello of 1777, which governed the proceedings. Challenges were issued in writing by a trusted second who would first attempt reconciliation. If reconciliation failed, a duel would be arranged, often at dawn in a secluded location, to avoid legal repercussions. Duels could end under several conditions. 1. When one party was wounded. 2. When one party could no longer continue. 3. When one party was killed. 4th. After an agreed-upon number of rounds. A common practice in pistol duels was deloping, where combatants intentionally missed their shots to satisfy honor without bloodshed. However, this practice was sometimes seen as dishonorable, and the Irish Code Duello explicitly banned it, stating that shooting in the air was unacceptable. By the late 1800s and early 1900s, dueling largely faded away as the concepts of aristocracy and gentlemanly behavior evolved. Society increasingly viewed personal reputation and honor through legal and social lenses rather than through violence.